Hello students, this is Professor Faiz Raut from Jain College of Engineering, Department of MBA. I am in subject Legal and Business Environment. I am in Module 4, Part 3. Students, today in this module, in this part, I am going to talk about business cycle of an economy. So what is a business cycle? Business cycles are the fluctuations in economic activity that an economy experiences over a period of time. That period of time can be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So over a period of 10 years, what are the upward movement in the economy of business cycle or the downward movement in the business cycle as per the economy? That we are going to study in this. And business cycles are repeated phases of economic booms and slumps. So if you are an profit maximizing entrepreneur, you must therefore analyze and take a view in economic environment of a period prior to making any decisions. Suppose an economy is going very good, and in this period of economy, and you are the entrepreneur making a decision, so you would immediately invest in this growing economy. And if you find the economy is into recession or economy is into depression, so during this time, if you are an well informed entrepreneur, you will not invest much. You will rather try to maintain your business as it is going. So and you will not do much investments. But if the economy is going in a recovery phase, if it is increasing again, then you will start to expand your business again. So by this, I'll talk about phases of business cycle. So these are the phases of business cycle. Basically, business cycle consists of 5 phases. Okay, I'll start from here. The x-axis represents time, y-axis represents growth rates. And a steady line starting from here, this steady line is the growth line of an economy. And this upward crest and the downward troughs are the phases of business economy, in which the upper represents the prosperity phase and the downward trough represents the depression. So the line of cycle moving above the steady growth line marks the beginning of the period. So this is the beginning of the period of expansion or the prosperity in the economy. The expansion phase is characterized by increase in the output, employment, good employment opportunities, investment by the business, aggregate demand, sales, profits, bank credits, wholesale and retail prices are going up, per capita is going up, the standard of living of the people of the economy is going up. However, the growth rate of the economy slows down when it reaches the peak. So this was the growth rate, the expansion rate, the expansion phase of the business cycle, and it reaches a peak. And after this peak, there is a phase called as recession. So the phase of recession begins when the downward slide of the growth becomes rapid and steady. Okay, so the output, employment prices register a rapid decline. Though the realized growth rate may still remain above a steady growth line, that means in the recession, still this trough is above this steady growth line. So still it is fine, but as this decline goes below the steady growth line, that means the growth becomes negative, then we are entering into a phase called as depression. So there is no longer prosperity when this business cycle crosses the steady growth line in the downward direction. So in depression, so when this depression continues over a period of time, then it is the worst phase of any economy, the worst phase of the business cycle. And when the depression reaches its peak, that is its trough, so when it reaches at this point, there is and it remains for on this point for a longer period of time, then there is a chances, or then there is a hope of recovery of the economy. So after this, when the business cycle crosses the trough, then the economy is under a recovery stage. And then at the recovery stage, if you are an entrepreneur, well-known entrepreneur, taking informed decisions, and you have identified the recovery stage, so during this stage you will start investing in your business much more. Now as the recovery stage increases and it reaches steady growth line, then at this time again we enter into a prosperity region. So if I want to talk about much in detail about this prosperity phase and the depression phase, first I'll begin with the expansion phase. This comes under prosperity phase. So prosperity phase is characterized by rise in the national input, rise in consumer expenditure, rise in capital expenditure, rise in prices of raw materials, finished goods, rise in level of employment. In the later stages of prosperity, however, input starts falling short of their demand. That means when this expansion stage reaches the peak, at the peak, the additional workers are hard to find. The additional workers can be obtained by bidding a wage higher than the prevailing rates. So a labor market becomes a seller's market. At this point, the cost of living increases, the standard of living increases, the companies start manufacturing more products. So slowly the inflation starts increasing, the employment starts reducing, and the already employed people in the company are forced to work much more. So those employee starts demanding more money from the company, the overtime increases, and by this time it reaches the peak. When it reaches the peak, because of higher inflation and many other reasons, slowly the demand of the products start decreasing. As the rate of the products reached at a very high rate, the people start avoiding buying those additional products, buying those extra luxurious products. And because of the fall in the demand, there is a demand and supply discrepancies. That means supply is pretty high as per demand. So now at this point, we have reached the peak and we are entering into recession. So now when we enter into recession, that means when supply has increased and demand is less for those products, the producers of those products believe that they have done overproduction, or they have done over investment into something, so that the supply has been increased. So these producers start to reduce the supply of the product, as they are not getting much returns on their production. So they start reducing the supplies, so reducing the production. So their future investment plans are given up. The orders for new equipments or orders for new raw materials or other inputs are cancelled. The demand for labor slowly start decreasing, and this is the beginning of this recession phase. And this recession phase continues for certain period of time, and if this recession phase is not taken care of, then it enters into a phase called as depression. During the phase of depression, economic activities slide down their normal level. The growth rate becomes negative, below the steady growth line. The prices of consumer and capital goods decline steadily. Workers lose their job. They don't have money to buy their essential commodities. Debtors find it difficult to pay off their debts. Demand for bank credit reaches low. Bank experiences mounting of their cash balances, and many non-performing assets increases. There is no investments, so investment in the stock also becomes less profitable, less attractive. Now all these situations are happening in this recession phase, which is going below the steady growth line. Now it goes below and it reaches this point, which is called as trough. How we get a trough in economy? If the recession is not falling, it is becoming steady here. So at this point we are getting a trough, and when we get a trough, then the economy or the business cycle enters into a recovery phase. So as this recovery phase gathers momentum, some firms plan additional investment, some undertake renovation, some undertake both of these. These activities generally start with construction activities in both consumer as well as in capital goods sectors. Individuals who have postponed their plans to expand or to construct the houses, now as the construction cost is very less, the labor cost is very less, so they start investments, or they start their business at a much faster rate, because they have identified that we are in the recovery stage. So because of this, the employment starts generating again, the wages starts increasing, many people starts getting jobs. So over a period, as the factors of production become more fully employed, wages and other input move upward slowly, uh, and the investors therefore select the best of the alternative investment opportunities as this at this stage of recovery, and they start investing more. And because of this recovery stage, the economy is increasing, and when it reaches at this point, the business cycle, when it reaches the steady growth rate of this point, and then the economy has totally recovered. And when after this the expansion stage start, and we enter into prosperity region, and this continues over a period of time again. So this from here to here, this is the period of time which is somewhere around, it depends upon country to country, but somewhere around 10 to 20 years, or lesser than nowadays it can be maybe from 6 to 8 years also, this crest and trough happens. Students, I want to explain this business cycle with the help of a car analogy. If we imagine the economy as a car, then GDP, employment and inflation are the gauges. A car can cruise along at 65 miles per hour without overheating. Safe cruising speed is like full employment, unemployment is low, prices are stable, people are happy. But if we drive that car too fast for too long, it will overheat, and in the economy, significant spending increases GDP, causing an expansion, unemployment falls, and the factories start producing at full capacity to keep up with the demand. Since the amount of products that can be produced is limited, people start to outbid each other, resulting in an inflation. Eventually, production cost increases as workers demand higher wages and economy starts to slow down. Business lay off a few workers. Those unemployed workers spend less, causing the businesses that produce the good that they would otherwise be buying to lay off more workers. This is a contraction. The economy is going too slow. Eventually, things stabilize, production costs fall since resources are sitting idle, and the economy starts to expand again, and the process of booms and busts is called the business cycle. Thank you for listening.